Welcome back to the Pink Table. Today we are going into the weekend's fixtures.
Yeah, international break is over. Let's look at it.
Good morning and welcome back to the Pink Table. We have taken a week off just with international breaks, just a bit of stuff last year, Lane changing house, all of that fun stuff. But we're going into the weekend. There's a bunch of good fixtures, Elaine. Very excited. And then next week also the European competitions kick off with Champions League, Europa League, and the Conference League.
Yeah, so always a bit rough that the Italian season stops 2 weeks in for those international breaks, has all of us chomping at the bit, but they're finally over and match day 3 is about to kick off. Super exciting stuff, and many people really do consider the season in Italy starting from this giornata. So going to be exciting stuff. As you said, the season gets real now with Europe as well.
Yeah, so we're going to dive into the fixtures of round 3. We're just coming off the back of international duty. There's a few injuries. There's a few issues with South America, quarantine, COVID. So some of the players aren't going to be back. I think Inter's actually the one that's being hit the hardest. So there's a few things that changed. Some like Italy players came back early to their clubs, saying that they had a bit of injuries, which all of them seem to have actually recovered by now. So a few question marks there going on in the Italian camp. It could also just be that they were allowed to leave and they just covered up with injuries. But let's not get into that. Let's carry on moving through and we'll dive into the first day. So we have Saturday. I think we have some exciting games there, Elaine. We're going to kick it off with Empoli-Venezia. So two teams that came up from Serie B. Doesn't sound like the most exciting game, but for these two teams, it's a crucial scontro diretto. It's essentially top of the table clash for these two teams to basically see who stays up in Serie A. So I'm very excited to see that. And I think you'll also be able to gauge which of the two teams has better chances this season of staying up as well.
Yeah, definitely going to be a key matchup between the two. One would expect that for Empoli, it's going to be a bit more important being the home team. Even though Venezia won Serie B last year, Empoli has started off better. They're riding high with those points gained against Juventus. So it's going to be an interesting game, but I definitely see Empoli favored. I'm really liking Bairami and co so far this season.
Yeah. Then kicking off at 6 o'clock, we have a big fixture. Very excited to watch this. Is Napoli, Juventus. A lot of stuff going on here. It's going to be a very good one to see. Chiesa has officially, so for Fantacalcio, we'll also talk about on the team. Chiesa is officially not playing. He hasn't been called up to the team, so that's just something to keep in mind.
Yeah, I had to drop Chiesa, funnily enough, from my Fantacalcio team. So this is going to be a very interesting game. Allegri's team is going to have to dig deep and prove that they're not falling apart at this point. And it's not going to be an easy team to stop. Napoli is looking really good at the moment. Spalletti's team looks solid. But I would argue that even more exciting a game is later on in the evening, where you've got in Bergamo, Atalanta taking on Fiorentina. Both teams, Atalanta struggling a little bit to pick up the pace they had towards the end of last season. But Fiorentina's looking good. Their new signing, Nico Gonzalez, blew me away live. So I'm expecting big things from Fiorentina. And I would argue that their front three is as good as anybody's in the league.
Yeah. So out of these 3 games, I'm going to say Empoli are going to win it. Napoli are going to win it. And then I'm going to say the third game is going to be a draw on Saturday. That's how I'm seeing it.
Yeah, I'm saying Empoli, maybe a draw between Juve and Napoli, but Napoli tipped to win that in my head. And then, yeah, maybe a draw between Atalanta and Fiorentina as well.
Yep. Then we move on to Sunday, lunchtime kickoff, Sampdoria, Inter. This is going to be a very interesting one to see. Milan played as well in Genoa against Samp on the opening day. It was a tricky game. They only edged it out 1-0. And we scored initially, and then I think Samp actually played quite well. Now they've also added Ciccio Caputo to take over from Manolo Gabbiadini is injured once again. So that'll be interesting to see. I think they're going to be a tough opposition for Inter. Inter started off well with Genoa, even though Genoa didn't look good. Verona pushed a bit back with Inter, and you could see some flaws in Inter, and that's when obviously Correa stepped in and changed that game completely. So it'll be interesting to see how Inter fares at Genoa here. Very excited to see this one. For this game, I'm going to put Inter as winning, or I'll say X2. So possible draw or 2 here.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. And Inter didn't carry that same form across from Genoa into the Verona game. but I don't know why. In my head, I feel this is very much going to be like the Genoa game at the beginning of the season, and I see Inter really just taking Samp to pieces. I hope not, honestly, for Roma's sake, but I see Inter really dominating that game.
Okay, moving on to the 3 o'clock kickoffs. We have 3 of them. We have Cagliari against Genoa, Spezia Udinese, Torino Salernitana. So it's mid-table clashes here. Excited to see how Torino does against Salernitana, as I think Torino are going to be a very different team this year. And yeah, Cagliari, like they don't like step out these games in my mind, but I think there's some interesting football.
Yeah, like I was expecting a lot from Torino with Juric this season, but you can see that there's already a lot of tension between Juric and Cairo. So I'm hoping that his football still translates and it doesn't end up with Juric leaving halfway through the season, because there's a lot of potential there. For me, the matchup to watch here is probably going to be Spezia Udinese. Lots of question marks over Spezia since Italiano left, and it's going to be quite important this game to see if they actually do stand a chance or if they're going to be in that relegation battle.
Yeah, wasn't Spezia's last game 6-1 against Lazio? So
yeah.
Yep, talking about Lazio, there is a kickoff at 6 o'clock at San Siro. I will be there, so I will be sending guys footage from the stadium. There is Milan-Lazio. Excited to see this one. So far, it's a top-of-the-table clash, as there's quite a few teams that are draw first. But I think this is a good test for both teams. As a Milan fan, obviously, ideally, we would want to win this. Milan are going in, it seems, without a striker, in the sense that Giroud still has COVID. I think he has his test today, and whether or not he's positive or negative. If he's negative, there actually might be a chance of him starting. Ibrahimovic has 45 minutes in his legs, so he's either going to start off or come off on the bench. But that being said, it's probably going to be Rebic either coming on in the second half or starting it off. So we'll see how that goes. On the Lazio side, Immobile ended the national team's week 1 day early, cause of injury. But apparently that's been fine. He's been back to training yesterday, so he should be starting against Milan. And Lazzari, who was officially injured and wasn't expected to be ready for this weekend, seems like he's gotten over his calf injury. There's a few doubts that he will be starting, but he will definitely be on the bench for the Milan game. So very excited for that game. It's the first big matchup for Milan, and the San Siro is already sold out, so it's going to be quite fun.
Yeah, this is going to be interesting. If I'm not mistaken, Milan yet to concede a goal this season. Lazio scoring freely.
So we conceded 1 goal against Cagliari.
Okay, yeah. But this is going to be interesting. It's a tight defense of Milan's against arguably the best attack in the league right now. Lazio's looking really hot. Immobile's form for the Biancocelesti is everything but his form for the Nazionale. And when Lazio's on song, that team scores goals for fun.
Yep. And then finishing off Sunday, we have Roma Sassuolo.
Well, yeah, and the Bologna-Hellas game a bit later.
No, that's on Monday.
That's on Monday. My apologies. The Roma-Sassuolo game is going to be very interesting. Question marks on Sassuolo, much like Spezia. How are they going to play with the new coach? So far, they've looked good. Dionisi seems very competent, but they don't seem the same side that they were for the last 2 years. So lots of question marks here. Zaniolo seems like he's going to be able to start despite the thigh knock that he received. Question marks over Pellegrini, but he's expected to start. And then also question marks over Mancini, who got an inflammation to the foot on international duty, and Vigna, who might have to quarantine back from Uruguay. So question marks for Roma. Lots of players ready to step in. Calafiori is looking really keen to take over that left. But what's going to interest me a lot here is the 3-man attack force of Sassuolo coming off playing for the national team. Berardi, Raspadori and Scamacca all look very confident and good in the national team, and I'm expecting them to bring this confidence into the Roma game.
Yeah, it's their first one without Ciccio Caputo, so let's see how that goes. I have Caputo on Fantacalcio, which I'll probably sell, but we'll talk about that in our next video. And then Monday we have Bologna-Verona. I think both teams need to get a win here. It's going to be very interesting to see. I would tip Bologna on winning this. They did start off a bit shaky, but I feel that they should be able to handle Verona.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm still not 100% sold on Bologna this year. The defensive woes evident for everybody to see. But then again, Verona hasn't blown me away. Without Juric at the helm, they're not the same team. And losing their major playmaker in Zaccagni, I think he scored over 50% of their goals so far this season, 2 out of 3, is going to be a loss to them. So not the most exciting game to end off the weekend, but I would tip Hellas to win.
Okay, there we have it. So those are the fixtures going into match day 3 of the Serie A. If you haven't already, please like and subscribe this video. We'll be giving you guys videos on Fantacalcio up next.
Yep, and thank you for joining us, and we'll see you at the next video on the ping table.